Andrew Holness did not come from old money or political royalty. He was a man of the people, born far from the traditional halls of power. Yet he rose to become the youngest prime minister in Jamaica's history. His story is not just about one man's ambition. It is a story about a changing Jamaica. It reflects a nation grappling with its past and trying to build a new future. Holness represents a generational shift in a country long dominated by the political giants of its independence era. At the age of 39, he took the reins of the country in 2011, a significant moment for Jamaica. Holness was different. He was a product of a post-independence Jamaica, educated entirely within the country's own system. His career mirrors the nation's own struggles. He has faced economic crises, high crime rates, and the constant challenge of creating opportunities for the Jamaican people. He has been praised for his focus on infrastructure and fiscal discipline. But he has also faced criticism over his handling of corruption allegations and his government's response to social issues. Understanding Andrew Holness is to understand modern Jamaica. This biography will tell the story of Andrew Holness in a clear, straightforward way. We will follow a timeline, moving through the major phases of his life and career. The goal is to present a balanced account, showing his successes and the challenges he has faced. Our journey will begin with his early years, exploring his childhood in Spanish Town. We will then move to his entry into the Jamaica Labour Party and chart his rapid rise through the party ranks. Next, we will examine his time in power, covering his first brief term as Prime Minister and the lessons he learned. We will then detail his return to office and his subsequent terms, focusing on key policies. Finally, we will bring the story to the present day, offering a balanced evaluation of his legacy so far. Andrew Michael Holness was born on July 22, 1972. His beginnings were modest. He grew up in a small, working-class community in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. This was not the Jamaica of tourist postcards. His parents, Morris Holness, a farmer, and Sonia Harvey, a civil servant, were not part of the political elite. They instilled in their son the values of hard work, discipline, and the importance of education. Their home was a place where political discussions were common. Life in Spanish Town shaped his perspective. He saw firsthand the daily struggles of ordinary Jamaicans. His father, a loyal supporter of the Jamaica Labour Party, would often take Andrew to local political meetings. This duality would define his approach to leadership. He learned to be both a thinker and a doer, a strategist and a street-level campaigner. The boy from Spanish Town was developing a worldview that was both idealistic and pragmatic. Education was Andrew Holness's bridge to a different future. He attended the St. Catherine High School, where he excelled. He was known for his sharp mind, his articulate nature, and his disciplined approach to his studies. After high school, he set his sights on the University of the West Indies, the premier institution of higher learning in the Caribbean. He enrolled in management studies, immersing himself in the material. He was building the intellectual toolkit he would need for a life in public service. A classmate remembers him as someone who was always prepared. He was not there to shout, he was there to persuade. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree, but he wasn't finished, going on to pursue a Master of Science in Development Studies. This quiet confidence and intellectual rigor set him apart, preparing him to step onto the political stage. His first major step into the political world was not as a candidate. It was as an aide to Edward Seaga, a towering figure in Jamaican politics. He served as special assistant to the leader of the opposition, a position that placed him at the very heart of the JLP's operations. Working under Seaga's shadow was a masterclass in politics. He learned to navigate complex party dynamics and the art of campaigning. In 1997, at just 25 years old, he decided to run for a seat in Parliament in West Central St. Andrew. He presented himself as a new voice, a symbol of a new generation ready to take on the country's old problems. He won. At 25, he became one of the youngest members of Parliament in Jamaica's history, a player on the main stage. The year 2011 was a time of major change. Bruce Golding, the then Prime Minister, announced his intention to resign. The party needed a new leader, and the stage was set for a potentially divisive leadership contest. Andrew Holness, then the Minister of Education, was a popular and respected figure, but still seen as a younger member of the leadership corps. Yet he was seen as a unifying figure who could bridge generational gaps. In a move that surprised many, the party rallied around him. On October 23, 2011, Andrew Holness was sworn in as Jamaica's 9th Prime Minister. He was the youngest person to ever hold the office. The unexpected Prime Minister had a short window to prove he was the right man for the job. With a surge in his personal popularity, Holness made a bold decision, calling a snap election for December 29th. The JLP's campaign was built entirely around its new, young leader and a central theme of prosperity. The results, however, delivered a stunning and decisive blow. The People's National Party, led by Portia Simpson Miller, won a landslide victory. The gamble had failed. The electorate, while perhaps liking Holness personally, was not ready to give the JLP another term. He had gone from being the nation's youngest prime minister to the leader of the opposition in the span of 67 days. This defeat could have been the end of his career. But for Holness, it was a formative experience and the start of the long road back. His first challenge was to consolidate his leadership. A challenge emerged from Audley Shaw, representing a battle for the soul of the party. Holness ultimately won, but the victory left scars. He now faced the hard work of uniting a fractured party. He spent the next years rebuilding the JLP from the ground up, traveling to every corner of the island, listening to party workers who felt neglected. As leader of the opposition, he became a sharp critic of the PNP government, especially on the economy and national security. For the 2016 election, his campaign slogan was not a broad promise. It was a much more targeted message, from poverty to prosperity. The centerpiece was a bold promise to remove personal income tax for everyone earning up to $1.5 million. It was a direct and tangible promise that resonated powerfully with voters who felt squeezed by years of austerity. The JLP won a stunning, narrow victory. Andrew Holness had completed his long journey back. Returning to office in 2016, Holness immediately faced the relentless scourge of violent crime. The public demanded decisive action. His administration used a controversial tool, the state of public emergency. In January 2018, the first major SOE was declared in St. James. The SOE granted security forces extraordinary powers. The impact was immediate. Murders in the parish plummeted, but the prolonged SOEs sparked a fierce national debate. Critics argued they suspended constitutional rights and risked abuse. They pointed to mass detentions of young men from poor communities, often held for long periods without charge. Holness defended the policy, arguing extraordinary measures were necessary to save lives. The debate was framed as a choice between criminals' rights and citizens' right to live without fear. The core of the government's economic strategy was maintaining fiscal discipline and launching a massive infrastructure drive. The most visible sign of this strategy was the flurry of construction. New highways were built and existing ones were expanded, drastically reducing travel times. This constant activity created jobs and projected a powerful image of a country on the move, a nation literally being rebuilt. For many, like a small farmer from St. Thomas, the new roads meant more income, more time with family, and a new sense of connection. However, critics raised questions about the contracts, the focus on concrete over social spending, and the long-term debt implications. While the government celebrated its successes, it was constantly shadowed by allegations of corruption and a lack of transparency. Holness's response was often criticized as being too slow and defensive, appearing to protect his team rather than acting decisively. A major flashpoint was the relationship with anti-corruption bodies, particularly the Integrity Commission. Holness himself came under scrutiny when the commission tabled a report about contracts awarded to a company he had a known association with. While the Director of Corruption Prosecution found no grounds for charges, the investigation fueled public suspicion. This created a contradiction, a technocratic leader perceived as soft on corruption. Beneath the shiny new highways, critics argued the old-style machine politics persisted. Andrew Holness's journey is a remarkable story of ambition and political evolution, reflecting modern Jamaica's own struggles and aspirations. On one hand, he can claim credit for steering Jamaica towards greater economic stability and overseeing an unprecedented infrastructure boom. On the other hand, his tenure has been persistently dogged by the shadow of crime and questions of integrity. As of today, Andrew Holness remains the Prime Minister of Jamaica, firmly in command after securing a landslide victory in the 2020 election. The road ahead is filled with challenges: social inequality, the ever-present threat of crime, and the lingering question of integrity. His ultimate place in history is still being written. His ongoing tenure remains a central and compelling drama in the life of the Jamaican nation.